Today, we're going to talk about one of my favorite AI tools, NotebookLM. Now, this is one that is talked about a lot, and with good reason. This tool will allow you, the user, to add sources to a notebook and then ask it questions or create resources based only on the resources you choose to include. This could be wonderful for educators to preload into a notebook course materials, content materials, and then create resources for students to access. This can then be shared out to students. And on the other side, students can also create their own notebooks of class content, quiz themselves, create flashcards, ask it questions, and so on. Again, the beauty of this is a couple of things. One, it is only accessing the resources you upload to it, and these can be shared out, and they can be used to create all sorts of amazing education resources, including slide decks, podcasts, flashcards, quizzes, and so on. So let's jump in and take a look at some of these features. Okay, so first off, you can see we are at notebooklm.google.com. You can see I'm already signed in, but you can sign in with any Google account. One note here, if you are using a school-based account, from what I have seen, you can share these notebooks out, but it needs to be only within your organization. Whereas with a public Google account, you can share out to anybody that you would like. And that's for security reasons, obviously. So keep that in mind as well. Okay, so you can see I'm on the main page here. I'm signed in. I can create new up here or new down here. Here are all the notebooks I have created or accessed. And here are some featured notebooks that they are showcasing up here at the top. So I'm going to go ahead and create a new notebook here. And you can see the first thing it's going to ask me for is, what are your resources? So I can upload a file, I can go to any websites, I can access my Google Drive, I can copy and paste text in, drop my files, whatever. So I'm going to go ahead and pause, and I'm going to bring in 3 resources, 2 PDFs and a YouTube video, and then I will explain how we're going to use the NotebookLM tools to engage with those 3 sources. So I'm going to go here to upload files. I'm going to go ahead and upload those 2 PDFs and one here from a YouTube URL. So I'll come back in just a second. Okay, so here I have my 3 sources. One is Digital Education Faculty Survey, one is a Digital Education Council Student Survey, and one is a YouTube video from EDUCAUSE about what students really think of technology and AI. If I wanted to go back and add more sources, I can certainly click here and add more components to this. So it is calling it the Digital Education Council AI Student Survey, which isn't really encompassing all of this. So I'm going to just call it AI Perceptions from Faculty and Students. It tried to guess what the title was, but I want to make sure this is a bit more all-encompassing. Okay, so you can see the first thing it's giving me here is an overview of what these 3 sources are telling us. So you can see that it has all 3 sources in there. Then down here, this is our chat area. You can see that in the upper left-hand corner. So I should have said sources over here, chat, and then studio. So we've added our sources, at least to the best of where we are right now. Again, we could always add more later. I should also mention you can also exclude components out of any chat or creation of materials over here in Studio. So if I unclick the YouTube video, it is going to answer me on chat and create materials just based on those 2. But I'm going to leave all 3 checked for now. You can also rename these if you want. Clicking here, remove it or rename it. All right, so we've got a lot of options here under chat, and we can ask anything that we want. So here are some suggestions of things that we might ask it. So we'll start with one of those. How do faculty and student views on AI reliance compare? So we'll go ahead and ask that question. It's going to examine these. It's kind of going through a thinking process where it's really digging in and making sure that it is encapsulating everything that we have over there into sources. And then it's going to answer us. When it answers us, it will give us an answer and cite itself. Now, as I mentioned before, it is only going to cite resources that we have put inside of our notebook. So we can see here, it's giving us some statistics, and here are the citations. So if I roll my mouse over here, you can see it'll pop up and tell me, where's it getting that 82% of faculty are worried? So we roll over and it's right there. Now, if we wanted to expand on this and see a bit more about what it was saying, we can click right here on the number 1. It'll pop open that resource and we can scroll and it'll highlight exactly where that citation is coming from. We can scroll down a little bit more to see what else it has to say. So here are students are concerned about the value for money. So if I roll my mouse over 10 here, we can go ahead and click on it and it will show us, here it is, the value of my degree right there. So each of these citations will point to somewhere within the resource where it found that information. A great exercise for fact checking. Let's look at one more. Here's one that says, students noted division among professors, observing that some see it as a helpful tool and others see it as a threat to integrity. Where is it getting that from? So let's go ahead and click this. Now, this time it's actually pulling from that YouTube video, and this is the transcript of that YouTube video. And we can see down here, there's the part about worsening integrity, and it's pulling it right from that transcript. So each of these, again, citations will point you to where in the resource it found that information from. And we could continue to ask questions inside this chat, and it will continue to give us those citations back to the resources. I want to mention one thing about YouTube videos. When you add a YouTube video, sometimes it will do exactly what we want it to, which is this right now. Highlight where in the transcript it's finding it. If it is having a hard time putting timestamps on those transcripts, it will just highlight the entire transcript, and it's hard to find that information within there. I've seen it work beautifully like it is right here, and I've seen it not work well if it is pulling from a transcript that doesn't have appropriate timestamps or it's having a hard time reading it. One trick for that, if I go back to my sources here, if you have a YouTube video that is not citing the way we just showed it, if you add the source and add the transcript manually by copying and pasting the text, it will work correctly. So I tested this, it worked great. So if you, again, are having a hard time adding the YouTube video directly, try the transcript. And you can find the transcript in the description area under any YouTube video. If you keep scrolling down, there'll be an option that says show transcript, and you'll be able to pull that in by using the copy text. So just a tip there. Okay, again, we could continue to ask chat questions if we wanted to. I want to show you one other thing here. If we really like this information that it just gave us and we want to save it, because once we come back into a notebook, this chat resets. If at the bottom of that chat, we think that was great information, I'd like to save it, we can choose the Save to Note option, and it'll actually save it over here under our studio, so we could come back to that information it gave us. So if I click here, you see how this is all that same information that was over here. So just a tip there too. If you get great information from a chat, save it to a note. All right, now over here in the studio is where a lot of magic happens. This is where you can create all sorts of amazing resources that you can share out to students, or if you are a student, that you can use on your own. So I'll start here with flashcards. I'm going to go ahead and click this, and what it's going to create is literally flashcards based on those 3 sources. So they're going to pull information from over here. While that is building, we'll go ahead and have it build a couple more, and then I'll show you what these look like. We'll go ahead and have it build a quiz. We will create an audio overview. So if that's a podcast essentially. If I click on the edit here, you can see what our options are in terms of what you want that podcast to cover. I will do a deep dive for this one, and you can tell it what to focus on if you want right here. Make it short, long, and so on. I'll leave the defaults for now, but know that you have some customization here for those audio overviews. All right, now it's going to generate that for me too. I will also do a slide deck, and I want to show you under reports here. There are several other things that you can create, like a study guide. You can create your own if you want. I'll go ahead and choose study guide just to show you what that looks like as well. Now, I'm going to give this a second to let all of these resources build, and then I'll come back and show you these. Okay, we are back, and we have a whole bunch of resources here that I clicked on and I built. Now, most of these I just took the default and clicked like in this case, infographic. But it is worth noting that all of these have edit options where we could have asked for more specifics that we were looking for, orientation and so on. So know that you do have some options here to customize. All right, so this one is the slide deck. I'll go ahead and open this and show you what it gave us. Always a good idea to fact check everything to make sure that it is pulling from those resources correctly. So here's our slide deck. This can be downloaded. This can be shared out, and we can start the slideshow if we wanted it to go full screen. We'll go back to the studio here. This one is the infographic. So let's go ahead and open up this one. You can see what this looks like. It's a pretty engaging infographic. Again, I gave it no specifics, no customization, but I could have. Again, we can share this, we can download it. And you can see it's based on all 3 sources there. Down here, we can take a look at the podcast. So let's go ahead and play that for a second.
86%.
It's a number it's almost hard to wrap your head around, isn't it?
It stopped me cold. I mean, we talk about adoption curves in tech all the time.
Yeah.
You know the drill. You have the...
Okay, and you get the idea. This podcast also has an interactive option where I can actually interrupt the podcasters and ask a question and then they'll answer it, which is amazing. We've got an AI quiz here that we developed. We can flip through these, go to the next one. Told me the right and the wrong answer, or why it was the wrong answer and what the right answer is. We have got flashcards here. Oh, I skipped one. Sorry about that. This is the study guide, which just kind of gives us some information that we could then choose to give to students if we want to give them a study guide. Flashcards, where it'll show us one side. We can flip to see the other. And then if we actually hit explain, it will come back here and explain why that is and show where that information is coming from. So this is much like the chat where we asked it a question, but it's pulling from what our flashcards are. So we'll allow that to go ahead and answer the question. And then we could, of course, go on to the next flashcard. You can see here we've got 37 flashcards. We can download them here if we wanted to. You can see it did give us here the answer with citations to back that up. So let's go back to the studio and we have one more here. This last one is the note that we already shared, which we did after our first chat. So all of these resources could then be shared out to students or whoever you want to share them out to here, and many of them downloaded as well. Last thing I want to show you here is that you can share out an entire notebook if you choose to by clicking on share. And remember, if you are on a school account, this will limit you to sharing to your organization. But if you're on a public account, you can choose to share this. You can see down here, it's by default restricted, but I can choose anyone with a link can have full notebook access or only to the chat if that's what I chose. And then I grab the link here and I can share it out. So this resource, NotebookLM, has so many possibilities that can help in education, from chatting with specific resources to creating resources you can then share out to students. I encourage you to jump in and try out more of these resources and see what might be helpful in your classroom.